Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Sunday, August 6th, 2023, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Now Mind You podcast. This is episode 77 Combat. I'm TJ.
Matt.
Bryce had a scheduling conflict and could not make it for this combat episode, but please be sure he'll be back as soon as he can. With that, today, we will essentially be covering UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Font, which took place at the time of this recording last Saturday, right? Literally yesterday night. So with that, let's get it going, right? UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Font. Off top, thoughts over the whole card. The main card was 50-50. Three decisions and three finishes, but exciting nonetheless. With that, I will open us up with Bahamondes versus Klein. So this was a meetup at lightweight where we had Ignacio La Jaula Bahamondes. This guy, I believe he was fighting representing Chile, but he was fighting by way of Chicago. He actually trains out of Valley Flow, which is in the greater Chicago area, which I didn't know. And he had a lot of hype, a lot of momentum behind him, considering his last fight. He had like a last, like down to the wire KO of his opponent via spinning wheel kick or spinning hook kick, however you want to slice it. But if you see that clip, it's the lights were shut off for his opponent. And what a highlight, man. And then on the other side, we had Ludovic, Mr. Highlight Klein, who I believe is fighting out of Slovakia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah. The interesting thing to me about this fight was the height difference. I believe Ignacio is like what 6'3" and Ludovic's like 5'11" or something like that. Or no, it might have been even greater because I think they said there was like an 8-inch difference in height. But that being said, you have the lengthier fighter who's fighting in a lighter weight class. Don't even get me started on him being able to make 155 at 6'3". I'm gonna move past it. But you would think you'd have like a strength advantage and a length advantage, but that was not the case because Ludovic said, hey, I know you like kickboxing, but let me tell you something. We're about to turn this into a boxing match, and I'm gonna hit you with a takedown threat because I'm gonna stop any type of progression you can make. Once Ludovic wobbled him in that first round and took him down, that became the story of the entire fight. Now, in Bahamondes's defense, he did not get put out. He was there to fight the whole time, and he was a tough opponent. His chin is something else. But that being said, it was a Klein show. Like it was literally Mr. Highlight show. And he won every single round. He got that unanimous decision victory. It was a good opener, I will say. Matt, did you have
Mm-hmm.
any thoughts on it?
I'm I'm gonna say this just as a overall preface for the whole card. Like you already said, every fight on here was entertaining.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. This fight was, I would say, yeah, of the decisions on this card, this was the most competitive.
Hmm.
Um, I felt like Ignacio was in it for a little bit. But it's kind of the same shit that we see. Like wrestling runs it, man. If a guy can get them takedowns, it's just gonna make the difference. Like even if you look at the numbers, he didn't outstrike Ignacio, but he outgrappled him.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's all you need. Um, I'm not gonna say Klein's first name just because I don't want to disrespect that man, but like, because even looking at it, I'm like, I can't say this. Like, because I want to say something that's not his name. You know what I'm saying? Looking at it, even though I've heard you say it, I'm just gonna leave it. But I felt like Klein really came in there and he performed. And for both of these to be kind of some, I would say, relatively unheralded guys, I thought this was a really good showing for Klein.
Hmm.
It was like you said, entertaining opener.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead and take us into the next one, bro.
We had the return of our boy Tanner Bozer.
Light heavy.
Come on, Tanner Bozer, light heavyweight. I'm really glad he moved down there because it was crazy seeing this man fight at heavyweight. Like I mean, look, it worked for as long as it could, right?
Hmm.
Um, my boy Tanner came out there with letting the mullet fly and the hands. Um, this dude also, funny enough, used to be a bouncer, which I think is
It makes a
not
lot of
even
sense.
It makes a ton of sense, right? Like, damn, bounce a piece in your ass up. Um, but he was going up against a guy named Alexa Kamur. Alexa Kamur is a Serbian guy. Just recently came to the UFC not too long ago. Came in through the Contender Series back in 2019. It hasn't been super busy since joining the UFC. Dropped one tonight, dropped one to another gentleman whose name I cannot pronounce, and that was 2 years ago. So this was his first fight back in a while. And if you flip it to the other side for Tanner Bosner, this is his second fight this year after taking a TKO loss to Ion Cutelaba. Mm-hmm. So he was looking to get back in the win column, and so was Alexa Kamur, but only one person can do that, and it ended up being Tanner. Realistically, like, I know numbers, like the records and things of that nature don't always mean too much. But even when, like, on paper, if I was looking at their records, like, they put a guy with 30 fights in there with a guy that doesn't have 10 in MMA. Again, hey, came out the gate knocking everybody out and even won his UFC debut. And then, like I said, once he ran into some different guys, his record shows that he ran into some different guys. And Tanner Boser is, like, though he isn't, he's not, again, another guy that's not super, super heralded. This is also a guy, though, that took Ciryl Gane 3 rounds, like all 3. They took him to a decision. It's a guy that was playing around at weight classes he shouldn't have been in. This guy's a win over OSP. And he just has, I felt like the style matchup was bad, man, because he was just, Alexa Kamur, I'm just going to call it what it is. He followed Tanner Bosner around while Tanner Bosner just teed off on this guy. Tanner's whole style is stick and move, stick and move, stick and move, stick and move. And he was definitely sticking. I mean, you look at the numbers, he nearly doubled Alexa Kamur in his output in both significant strikes and in just his total strikes. Alexa Kamur tried to hit a little desperation takedown, wasn't happening. Seeing a lot of good footwork from Tanner Bosner, a lot of one thing I really, really noticed, and this is kind of a side note a little bit, nobody in the UFC sticks to a real traditional stance. Almost all of these guys in the UFC will just switch as needed.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of there's not a ton of direct, like, I have to stand this way. There's some people who kind of stick to it to a degree, but for the most part, I don't know. I just feel like this was damn near one side of the fair. Tanner was really, really getting busy on Alexa Kamur. So I don't know. I don't really have much to add on it. I'm a huge fan of Tanner Bosner, so I always like seeing him get a win, seeing him get in the win column. But just to see, I love boxing and I love footwork, and Tanner Bosner gives that to me every time I see him fight. So I just put it like that. But I'll pass it back to you, TJ.
Cameron's chin, ridiculous, but I wouldn't want to switch spots with him. No. I thought in the first round Boser was gonna gas himself out because he was throwing those hooks like they were on clearance at a wholesaler, bro.
Man, was just off.
Like, just constantly throwing, and then the combos he was piecing together after he made adjustments in round 2 and 3 once the download phase was over, he got into the zone. There was one point where he was throwing a combination. Cameron tried to throw a jab. He slipped it and kept throwing hooks. I was like, he's in the zone right now. Nothing can touch him. Patience was key. And when he let the combos go, he was doing damage to the point where I was almost looking at the ref via the TV, of course, and be like, you don't want to step in here?
Get in there? I didn't want to say it, but it definitely was the times I was like, the ref could stop this fight.
Right. It's just like, how much damage do you want homie to take? I'm pretty sure he's got to go home and, be able to function tomorrow. But
I was like, ref, he got 4-ounce gloves on, or?
Yeah, right. Like, hey, you want to say something or nah? But yeah, that's where I was at with that. It was a crazy fight. Good for Tanner Bosner. Now he's like 1-1 in light heavy. Man, like, yeah, he was throwing those hooks like there was no tomorrow. And I would not want to be on the receiving end of any of them. That being said, is it cool if I take us into Lopez versus Tucker?
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna say this right here. This was my favorite fight of the night.
Okay.
This was at featherweight, and you guys heard me talk about it at length. If you listen to that combat episode, I believe which fight night was it? It was the one. It actually might have been the pay-per-view. Because it had Crone on the card. Crone was the opener. Then we had Diego Lopez, who was a last-minute replacement for Evloev's opponent who had pulled out. Let me see if I can pull that up for you guys because it's going to bother me if I don't. It was
Well,
Evloev
were you talking about when he
versus
lost to Evolev?
yeah,
Yeah, he lost to him.
yeah, but he was the last-minute replacement for Evloev's opponent. What fight was that, man? Give me the fight. Yes, Evloev versus Lopez. Give me the. Let me see it.
It was back in May. This was recently. It was Sterling versus Cejudo.
I was gonna. Thanks, Matt. I was
Man,
gonna
bro. I mean, I had it.
I was sleuthing it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to show us like your boy can find things too. This nigga was like, let me just kill that shine right quick. Let me put some shade on that shine for you, Playboy. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I was so impressed with Diego Lopez's. Man, part of me is like, hey, I hope this dude is not controversial. I hope he keeps it clean because it sucks when you like, I'm a huge fan of this person that's like, oh, he did something that can get him canceled. Now I gotta like not be a fan of them anymore. But as of right now, with Diego Lopez, I'm a huge fan of how he's using jiu-jitsu and MMA because I don't think anyone's really doing it like that right now. He damn near had Evloev's knee bending the wrong way in that knee bar, and I'm surprised he did not win. For a last-minute replacement, he had Evloev in trouble we've never seen Evloev been in before. Movsar Evloev, if you look at any of the fights of his that we've covered on the podcast or any of his previous fights, it's usually a very one-sided affair in his favor. Now he got the decision win against Diego Lopez, but I'm telling you that knee of his is probably still hurting as we speak. But I digress a little bit too much. So we had Diego Lopez, we had Gavin Tucker, Gavin Governor Tucker. See, the last time he fought was against Dan Ige, and we saw that because Dan Ige was like, you know what? There's a reason why they call me 50K, and he was like, let me just handle this right quick, 22 seconds, put out Gavin Tucker, right? But in this fight, it was, man, how do you even describe it? It's like the fight started off, they're on their feet, they're doing what they're doing, measuring the distance, throwing some light strikes here and there, and then we are immediately faced with a pretty offensive hit to the groin. Now, it wasn't on purpose. It was clearly not on purpose. It just happened to be that their bodies were moving.
Hey, boy, he threw that kick, too.
That shit was a roundhouse that was supposed to clap a leg and ended up clapping a cup and potentially erasing Lopez's future kids off the timeline. Because it was bad. You know it's bad when dude like immediately drops to their knees and they're making that like
it's his future kids canon event. I'm just saying.
I know, it's just really funny. But yeah, so we had the hit to the groin that kind of, you would think, I almost wanted him to use all 5 minutes because that was pretty egregious.
Yeah,
he recovers. He's like, all right, let's get back into it. They resume fighting. It looks like Tucker tries to go for a takedown, and Lopez is like, it's crazy that you would think you taking me down would be a problem because this is what I'm about to do. I'm going to jump guard. In fact, I'm not just going to jump guard. I'm going to jump right into a triangle guard position so I can start attacking that triangle, and attack it he did. So if you notice, he starts grabbing Tucker's head to make sure that Tucker can't posture up. But Tucker, to his credit, also did a good job making sure he doesn't get pulled fully into the triangle. He was fighting it off. So the thing about triangle guard is you have two threats. Wherever there's a triangle, there's also the opportunity for an armbar. And here's the thing. Tucker was fighting off the triangle, Diego was like, all right, let me start attacking this arm. As he was fighting off the arm, Diego was like, all right, let me start cinching this triangle even tighter. What eventually ended up cinching the win for Diego Lopez was not a flying triangle as Michael Bisping was stating, but it was actually in the armbar. So at regular speed, it looks like, oh yeah, he was going for the armbar. Tucker rolled over, so then he finished him with a triangle from mount. No, what happened was he was bending Tucker's arm the wrong way, and by the time they got to mount, Tucker was like, this really, really fucking hurts. I'm gonna tap. I'm in a lot of pain right now. I don't think that arm is the same. Because when you look at that slow-mo, that was really, really bad. Anyway, good on Diego Lopez. I think his last fight, his stock went up and everyone was like hype about him. And then this fight, for sure, like he has to have put featherweight on notice. What'd you think, Matt?
Man, I was kind of torn watching this because I was like, oh man, Gavin Tucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, haven't seen Gavin Tucker in a minute. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he like dealing with like some injuries or something like that like kind of put him out for a little bit of time?
He's got one more to deal with now.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right though. You're right though. He was like a guy that I really, really was a fan of. And like I saw him take the one loss back in 2017, and he really came back, like he bounced back. He got one win off in 2019 because he was off for 2 years. And then he was off for the rest of that year because he got injured again, but then he came back, picked up 2 more in 2020. I'm not really sure what was the reason for some of the gaps after that. But I know, 2021 was the last time we saw him fight. And it was, it was the one round, and maybe he's had personal things, time, and who knows. But I think Gavin Tucker's a guy that's super skilled. But man, 2 losses, 2 finishes in the first round. He might be knocking on the door of getting his pink slip in the second. You know what I'm saying? Might be getting that notice, but I would hope not, just because I think Gavin is really talented. But it sucked to see him go out like that. It's always crazy to me. Like, I'm not trying to laugh necessarily at that situation, but it's always crazy to me when the person that does the takedown is the one that gets submitted.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like, bro, before Gavin could finish following through on that takedown, like, it was over. Diego legs was already up. Yeah. Like, oh no, I got you. You good. So I just thought that shit was crazy. That's really all I got to add. I just think it's funny when it goes down like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that, take it away.
Yeah, we got Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Nzechukwu. My bad. Yep. We got Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Coming into this, I actually didn't know. Truthfully, I knew nothing about this Dustin Jacoby guy. I couldn't remember if I had seen him fight before. I still don't think I've seen him fight previous.
I think we have, because his nickname is the Hanyak, and I feel like you told me what that means.
Maybe. I just
his last fight was against Mirzakhanov in April, and then he also fought Khalil Rountree Jr. back in 2022, October.
You know what's fucked up? I remember that fight.
Yeah, we covered it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it slipped my mind, but this is a guy that has a pretty distinct kickboxing background. Came into the UFC, and this is Dustin Jacoby I'm referring to. Came into the UFC through the Contender Series back in 2020. Even had a brief stint. Excuse me. Had a brief stint in Bellator as well. But he's been in the UFC since 2020. And primarily has had a lot of success, with the exception of about 2 losses back in October and then 1 in April. So obviously he was looking to get back in the win column. And then we had Nzechukwu, who first of all, also want to add, these some big ass 205ers. They definitely looked like heavyweights when they were in there.
Yeah.
But we had Nzechukwu, who was actually coming off of a 3-fight win streak coming into this fight. All finishes as well. That being a TKO of Carl Roberson, Ian Cutelaba, and Devin Clark. So those are all pretty significant, being TKOs as well as a guillotine choke. And he came in right away. Lot of pressure. He was putting a lot of pressure on Dustin Jacoby. Like, I was like, Jesus, like, let the guy breathe. And
he said, no.
He said no, and Dustin Jacoby said, "Well, that's fine." And once he got enough room, he threw a very clean 1-2 right down the middle. Pop, pop.
Oh man.
We talking about like not even a minute 30 into the fight, and it was the slow fall from Nzechukwu that I was like, "Ooh, he hurt," and then instantly the hammer fist, and I could see to a degree where he may have felt like that was an early stop, but like you literally were only defending. You weren't trying to really stop him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you need to get a second to get the cobwebs. I get it. That's a hell of a spot to be in because even in my sport, man, you get knocked down, motherfucker got to back up. Like,
Right.
so
Right.
it was tough. I can't I'm not trying to be short or anything. There's just not a lot to offer because the fight was a minute and 22 seconds. But I'll pass it over to you, TJ.
I got nothing else to say other than anybody whose first name has a Ustin in it, just leave them alone.
Yeah, at this point.
Just don't. He minked Nzechukwu while walking backwards.
Bro.
Leave it alone.
Okay, that nigga some minks like Adriana furs, bro.
Hear the commercial playing.
Like, anyway, we don't want to get sued.
All right.
You want to take us to our next one?
Yeah.
Let's take us to our co-main.
I'll do it. Tatiana Suarez versus Jessica Andrade. Jessica Bate Estasa. Andrade. Man, it's Tatiana Suarez. She's acting like she's never been injured. And it's I don't even know. Look, bro, spoiler alert, Andrade got choked out. And I don't want to say it's similar to how Terrence Crawford did Errol Spence, but it's also like it shouldn't have been that easy for Suarez. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just like the way Tatiana Suarez got the single leg in the first round, and then like she
yeah,
the nigga
no, go
swung
for it.
her body to the side.
Man, oh, you funny as hell.
And then she got past Andrade's guard, bro. Then round two, she's out here. She just like cinches the guillotine with like one arm. Then she's got the arm in guillotine and chokes out Jessica Andrade, bro. Like I don't know what else needs to be said. She choked out Jessica Andrade with a guillotine. This is Tatiana Suarez. She has a win over the current champ.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Matt, take it. Add what you
Tatiana Suarez is the
like,
one. I'm just gonna call it that. Now, I don't really put a lot of hyperbole on people and shit like that. But like when I'm just looking at the landscape of their division, right? You look at landscape, you look at marketability, and I mean not on some what she looks like. I mean fighting style. You look at landscape, you look at marketability, you look at her resume, and then you also look at the division. Like that, for one, the division's not deep because the shit's not even. It's not even a 5-year-old division yet. Like women's flyweight is still, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, to then see to see her be able to go out there and do that too, like, I don't think it's hyperbole either to call Jessica Andrade a legend.
No, she's been in this game for a while.
She's been for a while,
and her resume is crazy.
It can't be questioned, bro. Several weight classes. She's been a monster across 3 different weight classes and has been a world champion. And Tatiana Suarez, who we just gonna really keep it real. She not even in the top 15. If you go right now on UFC's website, Tatiana Suarez is not even in the top 15 at flyweight. And she beat number 5. And has a win, as TJ mentioned, over their current champ. Like, she skipped over Macy Barber, Jennifer Maya, she skipped over Amanda Ribas, Andrea Lee, and Caitlin Chukagan, Lauren Murphy. She could have skipped over all them people. And you know what else she skipped over? Fucking Jessica Andrade. That shit is crazy. But
right.
What I will say, just somewhat playing matchmaker and shit, if I could, I would love to see her fight Talia Santos next. because I don't have a ton to add in terms of how you covered it. I mean, we saw the fight, man. Like that speaks on its own that you were able to guillotine this girl and had her in a standing guillotine before that. Almost stopped her in the first round. Like, this is a girl we've seen muscle out of everything. Shit, the way she won the title was muscling out of submission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me go and give us free.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, Talia Santos is coming off a loss to Valentina, but that's Valentina, and that was last year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if she has other stuff going on, but I just mean in terms of like size, skill set. I would love to see she and Tatiana Suarez, go at it. Plus, it makes sense. She's the person right in front of her in the division. Anyway.
And let's be real, too, just to add on, Talia's fight against Valentina was a lot closer than people thought it would be.
Yeah.
So that would be a good challenge for Tatiana Suarez. If she gets past that, it's like, all right.
Yeah, or she
already knew you were the one.
Yeah, she could fight Erin Blanchfield, or she could fight Mano Ferro. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce her last name. I just know the first name is Mano, but she could fight any of those girls. I think it excited me because it gave the division a shot in the arm. Now it's like, damn, there's like kind of a scramble in this division now, But that was pretty much my thoughts on that, on the co-main event. I was really, really impressed. Like TJ could tell you, even outside the chat, like I wasn't even catching the fights, but when I jumped in and saw that, I was like, whoa. Like I text him, I don't even know if he saw the shit by the time I had seen it, but I was like, not like this. Like, I'm an Andrade I'm definitely an Andrade fan. I ain't gonna hide that, but it's like, girl, god damn. Anyway. You want to go to the what we got next? Oh, we got
it's all you, bro. Yeah, main event.
We had Corey Sandhagen versus Rob Font. Man, this is like a damn near a matchmaker dream fight. Just in terms of like if you were looking to see a lot of striking and stuff like that, because you got a guy like Corey who's an extremely dynamic striker. Like, come on, flying knee finishes and stuff. When motherfuckers going down in slow motion and like, I mean, that's how just kind of how people fall down, not necessarily in slow motion, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
right.
This dude took 2 losses. TJ Dillashaw, Peter Yan came up, beat our boy Song Your Dog. And then he got that dog in him, and he beat Marlon Vera, which I think was a really good victory for him to get. I mean, even if you look at the rest of his resume, he got a win over Marlon Moraes, Frankie Edgar, even Rafaela Sunsao, John Lineker back when he was still in the division. Like, these are pretty relevant names, as far as the division is concerned. And the last time out for Rob Font, we got that first round TKO over Adrian Yanez, another fight that we thought was going to be way more competitive. And he went in there and ran dude over. Now, I don't know the specifics. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say you are correct. We were both like, what? What did Yanez do?
Yeah, why? What did he do to make him that mad?
Right.
Now, I wasn't following necessarily the news about the weight, because I knew that they fought at a catch weight of 140. So I'm not sure who missed weight there or what the issue was. But if I had to guess, outside looking in, I would have assumed that the weight issue was on Rob Font's side. I say that because as much as I say that Rob Font ran over Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font was asphalt last night. And I like Rob Font. I like all those guys at that New England cartel, but maybe something was off. I mean, TJ, you can definitely back me on this if you agree, but like, this was one-sided. I mean, I even read a report that Dana White left during the 4th round. Like, he didn't even finish watching the fight. He was like, well, I kind of know how this is going to go. Corey Sandhagen was 7 for 7 on takedowns, threw over 200 strikes.
With a torn tricep, apparently.
With a torn tricep, apparently. And generally put on I wouldn't say a typical Corey Sandhagen performance, but what I appreciated about it was an MMA performance. He did everything. All of the things that we that encompass mixed martial arts. He had the striking, he had the wrestling, he had the jiu-jitsu, he had everything. And when you look on the other side, man, Rob didn't even throw 100 strikes. Like, Rob Font New England Cartel, boxing, Rob Font. He did not even throw 100 strikes. And his significant strikes, he landed in the single digits. Granted, it's 9. 9 is not fucking 10.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Man, it was almost surreal to watch. Like, damn, Corey Sandhagen just really just dogging this man right now. Like,
yeah.
Fucking Anchorman, like Corey Sandhagen killed a guy last night. Like, Jesus. He was all over this dude, man. It was it was really like, I don't want to call it bizarre to see, but he definitely solidified his spot where he is. You know, I'm not sure what the next move for the rest of the people ahead of him in the division is, but to be honest, you know, I know Sean O'Malley's about to fight Aljamain. I'm not sure what's going on with Henry Cejudo, but shit, maybe he fights, you know, Mirab and sees what happens. You know, Dvalishvili, like, see if he can get him. Because that's really the only other guy there. It doesn't make sense for him to fight backwards. And
right.
You know, just to see where he's at now. Corey Sandhagen, I think, is one of, it's kind of still, to me, even though he kind of lost a little bit of that luster to the general public, to me, he's still the dark horse for that division. I still think Corey Sandhagen is the guy that could possibly get it done. I would love if we could have got Corey Sandhagen versus Sean O'Malley prior to this, but who knows? That might end up being a title fight in the future. If I get that right, somebody better remember that shit, because I think that could happen. But I'll pass it to you, TJ. I mean, man, what did you think?
Look, this is what I think. Him fighting with a torn tricep was crazy. Him being able to hit those takedowns and have that type of performance every single round for 5 rounds, it's 25 minutes of fighting, is insane. I'll give some kudos to Font, because despite things not being able to come together as one would hope with all the training, like we weren't there in the training camp, we're not in his head, it's what it is. He still was able to at least stop himself from taking damage when he was on the ground, which controlling the wrists of Sandhagen, kind of using the butterfly guard to make sure that he couldn't really get any type of forward momentum. You know, usually it's like pass guard, take mount, that type of thing, to make sure he couldn't progress as much. So, you know, his ground defense was there to a degree. But I think Corey was like, hey, I need people to see how much work went into my back tattoos, so I'm gonna have to put you on bottom, dog. Because that camera was always showing his ink on his back, bro. He's like, hey, y'all see how elaborate this is? Anyway, let me clinch this win right quick. But yeah, it was a really strong showing for Sandhagen. You covered everything else, man. I got nothing else to add other than what I just said.
Well, that was that. Also, I just want to give a shout out to my friend Olivia Curry, who fought on the DAZN Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz card against Shadisha Green. Now, unfortunately, she was not successful, but she was able to take Shadisha Green to a decision and end Shadisha Green's KO streak that she's been on lately. She didn't even, like, I mean, trust me, shout out to Olivia. She's made out of like freaking steel, man, because she definitely took some shots, and to have seen the shots that she took and to see her stand on her feet. And again, this woman that she fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She was on a 9 KO streak. And that ended last night when she fought Olivia Curry. So I just want to give Olivia a shout out. Huge heart. Definitely got that dog in her. You know, and her stock definitely shot up crazy after that battle. That was a lot of what people were talking about, at least people within my little circle. So I just wanted to give her a little love. As far as what we got next week, we actually got a super low-key banger as our main event next week for the UFC. We have Vicente Luque versus Rafael Dos Anjos.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Co-main is who?
We got Cub Swanson and mean fucking Hakeem. First of all, Hakeem looks mean even in his the mini thumbnail picture of him. We also got My Pain Is Now Your Pain, Khalil Roundtree versus Chris Dawkins.
My pain is not your pain.
Yeah.
That's wild as hell.
Oh shit. We got a women's bout
We got Polyana Viana versus Asmin
Lucindo.
Lucindo.
Both of these two are
Shit.
up and comers. We covered both of their debuts, I want to say. Well,
Yes.
we covered Yasmin Lucindo's. I don't know. I think
because of
Polyana might
Yasmin.
already been around for a little bit.
We've covered Yasmin Lucindo. That's gonna be an interesting one.
But we've covered some of Polyana's fights. We just didn't cover her debut.
Got you.
But this should be pretty good to see on. They both got some heat behind them right now.
Yeah, we even the prelims are pretty good. We got Lando Venado on that prelim as well.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as MMA is concerned, we got pretty good whip going on. What do we have over in boxing next week? I don't think we got anything crazy. What's this upcoming weekend?
Yes, it was. It'll be the 12th, Saturday the 12th.
Saturday the 12th. We got Oscar Valdez is challenging Emmanuel Neverett for the WBO junior lightweight title. So I'll probably be covering the return of Oscar Valdez going for the WBO title next week. And with that said, that is going to wrap up another episode of Combat for the Now Mind You podcast. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us, staying with us all these weeks. We really, really, truly, and honestly, we do appreciate it because we just in here having fun, and we, hopefully you guys are having a little bit of fun with us as well. You can follow me at Matt Hambrick. That's MattHambric, TJ.
Y'all can find me on Instagram at Tuss4Skate. That's TUSS__SKATE. And y'all can find Bryce on Instagram at Axe Onta. That's AXE_ONCA. Bay.
And you can follow us at Now Mind You Podcast, wherever you like to get your podcast. And we are also on YouTube. You can also follow Now Mind You Podcast, wherever you like to get your social media. We are active, we are present, and we are waiting to hear from you. You guys, what were your thoughts on the fights? Did you guys see any of the fights this weekend, or what are your thoughts on the fights that we got coming up? Be sure to hit us up. We always respond. We're looking for that engagement, so hit us up. With that said, you guys be safe, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace.